Exactly.
Anything else you want to?
Atalanta are now so very on opposite ends of the spectrum. So Atalanta are now out of the Champions League zone, out of the top four. They're 2 points behind Juve, but have a game in hand. Cagliari, on the other hand, are now out of the relegation zone, and they're 2 points ahead of Venezia. But Venezia have that game in hand as well. So mirroring each other at each end of the table.
Definitely. Interesting. So, the next game was between Fiorentina and Lazio, which ended 3-0 to Lazio.
My God,
The
I
f-
was not expecting that, man.
Me neither. The first thing I saw when tuning into this game was a young gentleman holding up a sign which read, "Who needs Vlahovic?" Fiorentina could use him, to be honest.
Hey, it wouldn't be a bad shout.
This was not, of course, what the Fiorentina fans wanted to see after losing Dusan. His immediate impact for Juventus was basically salt in Fiorentina's 3 open wounds.
Mm.
Lazio have leapfrogged Fiorentina in the table, ending La Viola's 7-game unbeaten streak at home and drawing level on points with their city rivals Roma in the process. So this was a big game for Lazio. Very success. The play-by-play very quickly. In the 52nd minute, a perfect defense-splitting ball by Zaccagni came through to Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, who put the ball in the back of the net, of course. The defenders were left as mere bystanders at this point, particularly Milinkovic and Biragi. It was played right between them. They had no idea who should take responsibility for the ball. And they just, bystanders, literally. There was a VAR review for Fiorentina later on when Castrovilli ran into Luis Felipe, but it was deemed to not be a penalty. In the 70th minute, Immobile scored as the ball came over the top. He was clean through, and just like that, boom. He's so reliable in 1v1 situations. Nastasic was particularly slow here, it has to be said. He looked like he
True.
could not keep up with Immobile whatsoever. In the 81st minute, Biragi scored an own goal. It was a very similar situation where a ball over the top came to Immobile. Nastasic didn't even bother running this time. He was like jogging.
Mm.
Chiro rounded the goalkeeper and placed it in. Biragi got a touch to it on the way in, and it went in. To be honest, Biragi could have done a little bit better there. But
Yeah,
yes, in the
probably.
85th minute, Torreira started calling the referee a motherfucker and got sent off. He thought he was
That's
fouled,
exactly what
basically.
happened, though.
Literally, he was swearing at it. He was like, ah! But he got sent off, and it pretty much summed up Fiorentina's entire performance. 3-0 to Lazio. So I'm going to start off by asking the most obvious question of them all, bro. Would Vlahovic have made the difference to the outcome of this game?
Yes, it would be, well, definitely he'd make an impact because he probably would have put himself in certain situations that Cabral, just not knowing the team as well as Vlahovic did, Vlahovic would have put himself in certain situations that could have potentially put Fiorentina ahead on a couple of occasions. So, and the way he used to drive the ball forward, so it's definitely a huge loss for Fiorentina. They lost the top scorer in the league, and it's hard to recover both on the pitch and both mentally for the players as well. So, Callejon and Sotil looking up and not seeing Vlahovic, that'll impact them slightly. They have this new guy Cabral that's like overly good, pass,
He's
doing that
so
doing that
eager, so
every
eager.
minute. You know what I mean? So it's unsettling times for Fiorentina at the moment. But they just need to get used to the new system, having a big boy like Cabral up front. He doesn't exactly have
Yeah.
pace about him. He's more of a guy you need to feed. So Kai Han's going to need to work on his crosses, and they might want to plug in Saponara even more often.
I totally agree with that. Vlahovic particularly loved Saponara, as I always mention. He used to call him il professore del calcio or some shit like
Hmm.
that in Italian, which basically means the professor of football because of his massive,
Hmm.
massive, massive footballing brain.
You
Um,
didn't tell the viewers that I got you
oh, yes, of course.
a Saponara kit.
Matty got me a Saponara kit for my birthday, Fiorentina, number 8. Love it, love it, love it. If we ever start doing video, I'll wear it every now and then. Why not?
No, for sure.
Now,
We will do video.
we will do video. Vlahovic could maybe like I don't think he would have changed the outcome of this game at all. I think this game was lost regardless of Vlahovic or Cabral were playing. But maybe Vlahovic would have converted the Cabral header that he got early on. Cabral
That,
Cabral
that
did
that for
well,
sure.
but he might have done better. Vlahovic is one of the best in those situations. But I have to say, Cabral looks very promising. He looks fucking pumped, man. Someone make him a sandwich like he's
Uh-huh.
starving. But the quicker he
He
get,
does look pumped. I just hope he can convert. You know what I mean? We've seen him convert in wherever else he used to play before, but yeah, not exactly against Lazio, but he'll pick up, I'm sure.
he will. I'm pretty sure too. I just hope he gets his goal sooner rather than later, or the pressure is really going to start mounting. Now the question is, bro,
Mhm.
would you start Cabral or Piontek? Apparently, Piontek was out for this game. He took a bit of a knock. He wasn't 100%. That's the reason why Cabral started. Now, remember, Piontek has already scored for Fiorentina. Would you start Piontek or Cabral in the next one?
So that's such a good question, man.
I'm full of them, man.
You're full of them today. So it's such a debate because then again you want to give Cabral as many minutes as possible so that he gets used to the system and he gets used to the league, eh? Because that's the best way that you're gonna start getting performances out of him. But then you have Piontek who kind of knows the league already, and he did bits at Genoa and Milan as well. So it's a tough one. I would probably. Oh my god, dude! Oh my god, it's such a tough one. I would probably start Cabral just simply because I want him to get minutes and I want him to become. I think Cabral's ceiling is a bit higher than Piontek's ceiling.
Mhm.
So for that reason, I would probably give Cabral as many minutes as possible. What would you do?
For the next game, I would probably start Piontek and bring Cabral on in the 60th minute.
Look at us disagreeing, huh?
Oh, yes. Why?
What's going
Because
on
I
here?
believe that every spot needs to be earned, and it's not fair that, you bring Piontek in and he scores, and you bench him just because you brought in someone who's more valuable, who
Oh,
cost
look at the
more.
socialism coming through in
It
you, bro.
it no, it's just it's only fair, right? It's only fair
No, I
to
get you.
play who's playing better. Now Cabral will have the opportunity to play better. Give him 30 minutes, no problem, and ease him in, no pressure. I
No, I
highly
get what
doubt
you
that
mean.
that's what's gonna happen. Cabral was brought in to be the main guy, and probably he will start the next
Hmm. Probably.
game.
I
Okay.
was surprised not to see Icone starting. I thought we'd see him start this game, especially against Lazio. I think Icone has been good coming off the bench
Hmm.
so far for Fiorentina, and I definitely see. I think in the next few games we'll start seeing him starting for them. I definitely think he has way more to offer than Callejon, man.
For sure,
Surely,
for sure.
surely.
Kai one of those annoying players who trains really well. That's why he keeps playing.
But he fits the system. Like I get why because he's tactically intelligent as
Yes,
well,
yes,
and
yes.
we've seen that Italiano would rather choose a tactically intelligent player than a naturally gifted player or a
Hmm.
quick player or a strong player. Just like he chose Saponara ahead of Sotil and Gonzalez, and like he's choosing Callejon over Sotil as well, and potentially even Icon in the future moving forward. But I think Icon is going to be one of Serie A's best players. Should he get the ground running, man? Should he hit the ground running rather? I think he'll be one of the best players in the league.
Most definitely, man. He was an animal at Lille. He was really good.
Hmm.
But this was the type of game. This was literally a flawless game by Lazio, and it's crazy because they have come out with these displays this year, particularly, for example, the game against Inter. But then they have had
And the game against
shockers.
Roma as
Exactly, the game
well.
against Roma was fantastic by them, and then they've had shockers like the one against Bologna, for example. So
Mm.
very, very weird situation they're in. Like, you look at Lazio this game, and I'd say they're a top team in the league. What a game it was!
Hmm.
The midfield was flawless. Pedro was really good as usual. Zaccagni was
Luis
good.
Alberto was
Luis,
a
he
fucking
was
joke in this
driving.
game. How good he
Oh, he
was.
was he was a Rolls Royce this game. How he was
I've
fucking
never seen
driving.
him drive the ball up like that. He drove well on multiple occasions, really dragged the ball forward. Normally, that's Sergei's role or Leiva's role, you know what I mean? And Luis Alberto kind of gives that final pass.
Mhm. It's
But
true. You
fuck
don't
me,
often see him
Alberto is.
driving for that much, right? It was like,
Fuck me, his work rate was nuts. I've never seen his hair flow like that, you know what I mean?
yeah, this hair is always flowing. To be honest with you,
And he
but
played well with Zaccagni as well. There was a little partnership going on there as well. Two very intelligent players. And I think Zaccagni was fucking great as well, man.
he was very good, very, very good. This was Immobile's 18th goal of the season, tied with Duzan. Who do you think will go all the way?
Vlahovic.
You think Vlahovic? I think
I
Immobile.
think
We've already had
Vlahovic.
this actually. You think Vlahovic and I think Immobile, yes. So we'll
Uh-huh.
see.
And it's good
You
to
want
see
to put
that none
money
of
on
us
it?
changed our mind. Ooh, how much? You want to put like an uncomfortable amount, like €50?
50
Like
euro.
let's not put a fiver. You know what I mean? People
Yeah.
will think we're pussies. So
Or we'll
shall we
meet
fucking
some.
put up 50?
Okay, 50 euro.
Or a kit, or a
A
no, fuck
kit?
that. That's too much. That's like 80 euro though.
Oh, but it is much nicer.
Oh, let's fucking do a kit, dog.
Okay,
Fuck
we
it.
do a kit.
Let's do a
Okay,
kit, a mystery
a
kit.
mystery kit.
Nice.
Okay,
Okay. So you
and
heard
and
it
then
here, guys.
and then we announce on Instagram. We put a picture of it when it's done. Okay,
Exactly. Nice. I'm excited.
okay, I'll write
Dai
that down.
Duvan. Duzan.
Yeah, you're not talking about
Wrong guy.
Zapata, bro. Okay. Okay. Gambling. Now, the
Yeah.
next point I wanted to mention was Fiorentina's defense. Wow, man. Absolutely shambolic. Milinkovic is a
Terrible, no?
shadow of his former self.
Hey,
Nastasic, not to standard. Biragi scores 2 free kicks in one game, gets sent off in the next, and gets an own goal in the other.
hey,
What's no? He
Biragi was
misses. He
shocking, man.
misses a penalty actually in the next game. Yeah.
Mhm.
They were honestly the defense was in shambles, and Italiano can't stop stressing it how poorly they're playing defensively.
In the last game as well, there were multiple individual errors at the back, man, just giving the ball away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it, man. And you would think that they would have made some signings in January, at the back,
To
but
address
it
this,
didn't
say
seem to be.
no, apparently not.
Uh,
Apparently
but
Cabral
it
and
didn't
that
seem
team.
to be a focal point because, Piontek and Cabral, well, they needed to adjust the whole, Vlahovic and Kokorin situation.
Definitely,
Um,
they have
but
money
yeah,
in the
they
bank now.
definitely need to brush up. I think that's the only place Fiorentina are lacking this year. I think they just need a couple of good defenders, man. Um, Maybe a bit more creativity here and there in the midfield because they do tend to
Yeah,
rely on those front three a bit too much. But otherwise, I think Fiorentina were overpowered. It was very end to end the game, and it was either I think as soon as Lazio got the second goal, which was kind of against the run of play, because I thought Fiorentina were coming back into it. I think there was a slight momentum shift over there. But as soon as Lazio got the second goal, it was like, all right, how many are Lazio going to get?
yeah.
Heads dipped down for Fiorentina, you know what I mean? Lazio looked excited. They've got a hell of a lot of players that want to prove themselves. So it went the way it was expected, to be honest.
Definitely. I would just bring in a center back and the right back as soon as possible for them. That's probably what needs to be done. Probably
Hmm.
cash in on Milenkovic because he has some value to him and literally replace him with someone reliable. I don't know. I'm not going to give them the advice. Drama! Ilitare against Sarri.
Oh my
Allegedly,
God.
allegedly, Sarri has given an ultimatum to the director, to Lotito. He told him in June, you have to choose between me and or Tare, basically.
Oh
Tare
my
is the
God.
sporting director. Apparently, they have different ambitions. Sarri wants to be more involved in the market. Tare is telling him to go suck a fuck. What do you think? Who would
I
you, if you
don't.
were Lotito, who would you kick out?
I have no idea, dude.
Really?
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about Altare. Is it his
Tare,
involvement? Tare.
Ili Tare. Sorry, Ili Tare is his
Yeah,
name.
I don't know enough about Ilitare's, contributions to the team to make a decision over here.
Mm,
Naturally, I would always normally go for the manager because these guys know the players firsthand and they need to
mm.
make all the tangible decisions. But I don't know, man. Maybe if you have more insight, you can educate me.
Unfortunately, I do not. I was going to say that it very much depends on how the system plays out and how the mood in the dressing room is. We know that there was some drama between Luis Alberto and Lazio. Now, if it means, getting rid of Tare to keep Sarri, but you lose three of your top players, for example, that's not worth it, you know?
Like one thing I don't like is the person that's actually bringing up the ultimatum. Like I don't like being put in that situation. Like if
Yeah.
Sarri were to come up to me, let's say I'm the fucking CEO or whatever, and tells me, listen, you need to choose between me and the guy. Like the first thing I would think of, all right, so Sarri is not a team player. Sarri just wants to
Mm.
get rid of the problems rather than trying to make amends. So that's definitely something that can come into play. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what they'll do, but it'll be interesting to see it shape out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. A rare good game from Patrick, by the way. Hope.
Patrick, fantastic assist in that second goal, and
Yeah,
Immobile's goal.
really
Brilliant
good.
ball over the top, man.
SpongeBob wasn't
Great
bad
ball.
either. Let's move on because, bro, this
Brilliant.
is going to be the longest episode in the history of
It is going to
podcasting.
be the longest episode. So let's move over to the other side of Rome as Roma drew to Genoa, the score of 0-0. So it was a nil-nil. Sorry, it was a 2-0 away victory in the reverse fixture for Roma, who at this point were coming off a two-match winning streak, looking to make it a three-match winning streak for the first time since their opening three matches of the season when Mourinho was just appointed. So crazy. They had the opportunity to equal that and they weren't capable of doing so. And this was also Mourinho's 100th match in the Serie A. So crazy on that end as well. Now, Roma were missing their captain Pellegrini, but that's absolutely no excuse for this embarrassing result, as they still have the likes of Mkhitaryan and Oliveira to replace him in that role. Genoa were coming off a well-earned draw versus Udinese, which is no easy feat, as we saw in this match day, which we'll discuss later on. Now, historically, Genoa love beating Roman teams in the Serie A. They've racked up 32 wins against Roma in their history and 37 against Lazio. But they wish they had that against the Milan teams in Serie A. But unfortunately for them, it's not the case. So I'll run you through the play-by-play. In the first minute of the match, Damiano David from Maneskin was spotted in the stands supporting his side Roma. It is yet to be confirmed, but the Roma players seem to be confused and asked each other questions like, why men have such nice eyelid? Why men, but pretty face? This man is making me fuori di testa. And last but not least, I want to see this man's testa. Roma seemed out of sorts after this and had a couple of opportunities to go ahead with attempts from Zaniolo, Abraham, Oliveira, and Smalling getting close but not close enough. In the 68th minute, Ostigard saw red after wrestling Felix to the ground as the last man. He had his hand around his throat and he literally threw him onto the ground. It was incredibly done by the new signing, who was having a really good match up until this point, man. In the 93rd minute, Zaniolo scored an absolute wonder goal, man. He took on 2 to 3 players and finished from outside the box into the bottom corner with his back towards goal. It was insane. He ran up celebrating with his shirt off and his man bra on, only to be interrupted by the referee communicating with the VAR team. The goal didn't stand, as in the build-up to this goal, Abraham can be seen stepping on an opposition player and dispossessing him illegally. Zaniolo, as a result, walked up to the ref, told him to go fuck himself, and probably, to be honest, told him some cruel shit, and he got a red card for that.
Yeah.
The ref pulled out a red card instantly, so I don't think it was a second yellow. I think it was that overboard that it's like, all right, you can't say that, fuck you, red card.
Yeah.
So that happened.
The many moods of Nicola Zaniolo in 5 minutes. We saw everything. Like,
Man.
we saw him, his entire spectrum as a player and as a being. We saw it in those 5 minutes. What he's capable of
Literally.
doing, his attitude, like issues that arise every now and then. But yeah.
I'm going to bring up Fanta again, because I have Zaniolo on Fanta, and the fact that first he got a +3, and I'm like, okay, fucking right. Then he got a -1 because he took his shirt off, and then the goal didn't stand, so he's down to a 5.5, and then he gets sent off, so he's down to like a 2.5. I'm like, fuck this, man. What a roller coaster. So let me move over to the talking points a little bit, brother. So
Please.
I'm going to start this one off with a quick would you rather.
Mm-hmm.
So would you rather watch Roma play football ever,
Mm-hmm.
make excuses for Lazio losing forever, or live for a day as Kurt Zuma's cat? It's a tough one, man. Choose wisely.
So the second option is basically, what do you say? Would I like make
So would you
excuses for
rather-
Roma every week?
No, either watch Roma play football ever,
Okay.
make excuses for Lazio losing forever, or live for a day as Kurt Zuma's cat.
Well, the last one is totally out of that. Probably the Roma one, right? The Roma one, unfortunately.
They are not fun to watch, man.
They're not
this year.
fun to watch at all, but they have a few players I like. Like I like Zaniolo, I like Mkhitaryan, so it's not the end of the
I
world.
like Pellegrini
And
as well.
I like
Ibanez.
I like what's his name. I dislike Mourinho, of course, because of everything he stands for. But at the end of the day, he's the villain, and I like watching the villain. It's as simple as that.
But I do think that it's his style of play that kind of makes them unattractive to watch, man.
No, for sure.
Like, I do not like. I can't stress enough how much I dislike watching Roma play. Like, it's not fun. There's nothing that flows about them. There isn't smooth passing. It's just like they're trying way too hard from the get go, and they just keep getting dispossessed. You know what I mean? And they're winning the ball back and trying again and getting dispossessed. It's not attractive. It's not like Milan who play the ball around, and you see Salamakers holding the ball up and Calabria uh, overtakes, and or like Inter do with Zerko coming back and flicking the ball onto Lautaro. There is no swagger about Roma
Yeah.
whatsoever, man, at all. Zero.
I've said this so many times that I'm sick of myself. Like, but they have no game plan, man. You see, this game
Zero.
they couldn't
Zero.
convert any of their set pieces. Boom, 0-0 against Genoa.
Exactly.
You know,
Literally.
that's it. Had they
Bro, they had, listen to this. They got 23 shots away. 23 shots away. 14 were off target, 6 were blocked, and 3 were on target. They had 3 shots on target only against Genoa.
and
One of
Sirigu was
them
in
is
goal.
probably the Zaniolo goal. And that's fucking Sirigu. Genoa had 3, bro. So in this game, not only was it 0-0, but Genoa and Roma had the exact same amount of shots on target.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? It's Roma Genoa we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a relegation battle team against a Champions League battle team, against a Europa League battle team.
Yeah.
An absolute mismatch. And for Roma to put in the performance that they did, to me, was shocking, man. Disastrous.
For sure, I agree with you, man. There's not much left to say about Roma, to be honest with you, man. They need to get creative. That's it. And they have the
Yeah.
facilities. I think Mourinho needs to give them a bit more freedom. Because Mkhitaryan isn't a rigid player. Mkhitaryan is the type of player
Mhm.
who'll see a pass. He's creative. If you give him a bit of liberty, he can
Exactly.
do it. Zaniolo too, and even to a certain extent, Oliveira. It's just, why are
Mhm.
you so rigid? Why are you limiting these guys?
Exactly. Yeah, but man, to be honest, I don't know. It can't be their individuals, because their individuals on paper are fantastic footballers, like the players you just highlighted now.
Yeah.
It just seems like there's a lack of it. I wouldn't even say it's a lack of motivation, because all the players seem like they're trying really hard,
Mm.
man. You know what I
It's a lack
mean?
of ideas.
Exactly. Like you said, and like you
Mm.
keep on saying, there's no game plan whatsoever. Let me move over to Genoa, because at least we've got some good news over
Mm.
here. It's obviously a massive improvement under their third manager of the season, Blessing. Obviously, he's been doing much better than Sheva and
Yes.
fucking hell. Who was the manager before that? Or am I blanking out?
Ballardini.
Ballardini. Badel had a great game, bro.
Badel
5 tackles won,
is a
2 aerial
highly
tackles
rated
won.
player. I remember Milan were after him at a point. He's a very solid midfielder.
He dispossessed the opponents 5 times in this match, man. He won 2 aerial duels as well, you know what I mean.
Mm.
When there's a goal kick that Rui Patricio gives, he often found himself up against Tammy Abraham, and he did a good job over there. Just a solid structure in
Mm.
front of that defense, man. Gives the defense something to rely on. So he did a good job in this game, and he's done a good job over the course of the season. Now Genoa's next game is against Salernitana, as they're looking to get some wins under
It's
their
a
belt.
six
How do you
pointer.
think this goes, man? Exactly. How do you think it goes?
That's a 6 pointer. I'm not sure how it goes. I need to see more of Salernitana, man. I don't know. But every fiber in my being screams Genoa win.
Every fiber of my being says there's going to be an absolute goal fest,
Go
like
like a 3-2.
like a 3-2, even like a 3-3, man. I see them going crazy in this game, because both can struggle defensively. Normally, I wouldn't really give Salernitana the credit of being good going forward, but with Verdi in the team
Yeah,
now scoring goals, it might be interesting to
exactly.
see.
Verdi should join Roma, man.
Hey, man,
Maybe
maybe they'll
maybe they'll
fucking.
score a few more set pieces. Why not? Piccoli came on for Genoa. I was hoping it'd start, but of course he needs to be eased into it, as we're saying, like the
Uh,
whole Cabral thing. Um,
exactly.
Piccoli's an exciting one for them. Also, I found out today. Do you know that Portanova's father also played football, and he also played for Genoa and for Bologna?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Was he any good?
He has caps. He has Serie A caps, quite a few. But he doesn't have an honors section on Wikipedia, so I don't think he's ever won
Ah,
anything.
okay.
Like, I think
He's probably
Portanova's
kicked
brighter
now.
as a player than he is.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. But anyway, I don't think there's much to add in this game
We can
whatsoever.
move on.
A very dull performance by Roma, and Genoa managed to hold their own. Roma now find themselves in seventh place, 6 points away from a Champions League spot. Genoa, on the other hand, are in 19th place and 6 points away from safety.
Yes, and I forgot to mention before the standings for the Fiorentina and Lazio game, of course, or I might have mentioned them, but not at the end. And basically, Fiorentina are 8th with 36 points, Lazio are 6th with 39 points. Apologies,
Nice.
I'm the worst at that. To Matthew's dismay. Now, the next
I
game
get it.
took place between Sampdoria and Sassuolo and ended 4-0 to Sampdoria. Massive, massive
Madonna, like.
victory for Giampaolo and his men. Now, Sassuolo were haunted by somebody that they used to know, as their ex-players scored against them. Two ex-players scored against them in Caputo and Sensi, actually. But anyway, Sassuolo came into this game undefeated in their last 5 league games, and Sassuolo had only lost one of their previous 10 league games against Sampdoria. So I'm sure many people saw that stat, put a bet, and were completely disappointed and will hate Sassuolo until the very day they die. Play by play, very quickly, in the 5th minute, Caputo scored. There was a lovely assist by Candreva. Candreva, the man of the match, in my opinion, in everyone's opinion, actually.
Definitely.
Caputo's goal here is underrated. He made a difficult volley look very simple.
That's, bro, it was a stunning goal by Caputo. Stunning goal.
And he celebrated so passionately, goes to show that maybe he wasn't too keen on Sassuolo letting him go. In the 7th minute, Sensi scored. There was chaos in the box, and he got a rebound. Basically, in the 63rd minute, another lovely Candreva cross, and an amazing finish by Andrea Conti, of all people. Seems to be finding his footing again. I'm happy for him. I have a point actually to make about Conti and Sensi. I'll get to that very soon. And in the 91st minute, Candreva scored a Panenka penalty. Fun fact about the Panenka penalty, it's named after the Czech attacking midfielder Antonín Panenka, who notably
Okay.
scored the winning penalty at Euro 1976 in the final against West Germany by gently chipping the ball down the middle, and that's where the Panenka was created. Very interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Basically, bro, I have a theory about Conti and Sensi. The fact that these guys were
Okay.
training with Inter and with Milan, right, means that we haven't really seen much of them this year. But they were training with the best. So their training sessions were
Uh,
literally a level above their current training sessions. So these guys were clearly set to thrive in this setting. And here they are,
yeah,
and
for
they're
sure, man.
thriving. They're 2 goals for each of, like, 1 goal each. That's pretty fucking good. That's a good start. And Sensi looked really good, and Cassano actually praised him. He said that he should.
Costanza is the best midfielder in the league
Yeah.
at the moment,
Oh,
bro.
I'm telling you, the only problem Sensi has in his game, the only flaw, is his injury record. Because other than that, he's a bloody good player. Huh?
Oh, he's
He's a
very good, man.
serious player.
Sensing. And I'm glad that we're getting to see it at full flow at Sampdoria. And I'm glad we're getting to see that with Conti as well. I mean, what a fucking game by Conti, man. And obviously he's picked up 2 goals for them now. I'm pretty sure one of them was in the Coppa, but that still counts in my opinion.
Of course.
Um, Sampdoria, man, but just to go back to the point of Conti and Sensi, like you said, they've been training with the best, man. They would bring something new to training. They would
For
bring
sure.
insight. All the players would want to be around them. Oh, what's Lautaro like,
Yeah.
man? What's Zlatan like? And that'd be very popular among the training camps. And they would bring that something new, man. They might not be, star players, but they will be the star players of these teams, man.
Yeah, definitely, bro. It's nice seeing Caputo playing with players next to him, not in total isolation. Of course, he had Sensi behind him and Gabbiadini alongside him. Gabbiadini, poor guy, tore his ACL this game, and that's what prompted the move for Giovinco, as we discussed in our intro. Um, do you think Giovinco can have an impact with this team, bro? He's 35 years old. He had 12 goals in 57 games for Al Hilal more recently. What can he do here?
It's interesting, man, because one strength he always had at his Arsenal was his pace, and does he still have that at 35 years old? Now, aside from that, he was quite an intelligent player. He does remind me a bit of Insigne in a more central role. You know what I mean? Like, he could really hold the ball back well and kind of provide passes and assists. But there will be a bit of ring rust over there, man. I think it'll be hard for him to settle back in. It'll be interesting to see. I personally think he'll struggle, man.
I don't know, man. I look at Sensi, Caputo, Giovinco. That sounds like a bunch of annoying mosquitoes.
Aha, but if he loses his pace, then he loses 90% of his traits. You know what
But
I
he
mean?
could like
That's always what he was renowned for.
But it wasn't his pace more than his like ability to insert himself and to accelerate in the tight spaces. I think that that's what it is. Like he's the type of player that can. First of all, he's 35, right? 35? Did we say he's
Mm.
35? Um,
Yep.
which means that he's exceptionally seasoned. Now the problem is he's been away from the top league, so he might struggle. He might struggle for sure. But at the end of the day, this is a good player. Huh? This is a player who knows that, for example, he doesn't have blistering pace anymore, so he might not try to do that. He might play the intelligent balls, kind of, hold the play up a little bit, feed Caputo, play it back to Sensi, play it to Kandreva, things he has. He's set up to succeed here, so we'll see.
Uh,
Definitely.
well, if for example he becomes the rigorista of the team, or we know he can hit free kicks as well
Mm.
and corners, should he get onto those early, then maybe he can get a bit of confidence going on about him, and maybe his form can be high. But at 35 years old, I see him struggling quite a bit to make a mark at Sampdoria. Man, I think the second maybe one of the other guys are fit, so Quagliarella or Gabbiadini, will be seeing them starting ahead of him. I'm quite sure. Maybe they'll plug him in on as a substitute, and maybe he can bring something on to the game, much like Nani does
Mm.
for Venezia, for
Yeah, a
example.
very
But I
similar
don't see him.
situation.
I don't see him as doing much more than that. You know, he definitely won't be their star player.
No, no, no. The star player is Antonio Candreva, and that's the perfect segue. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Last week, I criticized Gianpaolo for playing Candreva as a trequartista. I was like, what the hell is he doing? So this time, he decided to play him even further back in the three-man midfield.
Mhm.
And to my surprise, he was absolutely incredible. Like,
But he was dropping very wide. We were
of
seeing
course,
him quite wide
for
out.
sure, for sure. He does like drift quite wide, but this might be. Now I know I'm gonna totally, I'm gonna be hypocrite over here. I'm gonna completely go against what I said last week. But you might be able to make an argument that Kandreva, at his age, playing him more centrally, you get to preserve his energy. You're not wasting all his energy, chasing the ball down the wing. So maybe from a career
Uh
point
huh.
of view, like where he is in his career right now, this is the move.
I mean, we see it happen very commonly with fullbacks and wingers. Like we saw Ronaldo, for example, starting off as a winger and then maturing into a number nine. We saw Van Bommel start off as an attacking midfielder and then dropping into a more conservative
Mm.
midfielder. And probably we'll see it happen with Kandreva as well. I mean, to me, I didn't see an issue with him playing wing back at all. Actually, I thought he was phenomenal. I would mistake him for a 27
One
year
of the
old. You know
best
what I
in the
mean?
league, and he's 34 years old. Exactly, he played like a guy in his prime. Definitely, I agree.
Exactly. But one thing that he does have at his arsenal is he can fucking pass the ball and cross the ball, and this is a position where he could do that. I wouldn't personally play him as an attacking midfielder, but I think as a central midfielder, he could really display his passing, and maybe we could see him switch play a little bit as well, and maybe overlap with the striker, get involved with the wing back as well. So this definitely gives him a bit more creativity, I would feel.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting for Gianpaolo, of course. I have to say that it's a good move for Sampdoria bringing him back in. They look so much better. They look way better than Daversa's 4-4-2 right now, and good things for them. Good signs for them.
Uh-huh. I'm not gonna get carried away because it's simply one game and it could be a free cocker, and so I'm not
Mhm.
gonna get carried away and say that they're back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But definitely a fucking good sign beating Sassuolo 4-0. An insane
for sure.
performance by them.
It has to be said here, because going on to Sassuolo, we haven't really addressed what the fuck happened this game.
Mm.
Dionisi was interviewed after the game, and he said, "Don't ask me about individuals. I take full responsibility for the result. After the 4-0, what should I say? Sampdoria deserved to win, but not 4-0. The result is a lie. After 7 minutes, you find yourself at 2-0, then two dead balls, and you are at 3-0. The attitude against Torino had been positive. Now we have to play friendlies and lose 4-0 to have the right attitude. Of course, you refer to these games as friendly. I'm not sure if that was a mistranslation or if he said that, because they played so lethargically.
Uh,
Sampdoria, on the other hand, were not lacking this because Sampdoria had the desire to cut away from the relegation pool. This fluctuating attitude must be changed in the will. They run and work hard, but it seems like we don't want to win the tackles. Second balls are often not ours. If there is will, no, sorry, if the will is not there, it is also difficult to train. So he's questioning the desire of the players, which we often have done here for Sassuolo. Okay.
true,
He said,
true.
we need to take a bath in humility. I am here to take responsibility. Will must come first, everything else follows. Now, do you think that the fact that Sassuolo don't have a great fan base to push them can potentially lead to complacency every now and then?
Yeah, I think it's a number of factors, like you're saying, for sure, and I think we've pointed it out before. I mean, the fact that they literally don't have, the 12th man, as they call the supporters, to push them forward in tough situations. That must make it more difficult for them. I mean, we've seen these guys play at home, and their fans are outnumbered by away supporters. So that's fucking disappointing, and I would hate to be in that situation had I been a Sassuolo player.
For sure.
And another thing would obviously be Sassuolo find themselves in quite a unique scenario where they're kind of midway, they're a mid-table team, you know what I mean? And what would motivate a mid-table team? It would be playing other mid-table teams where it's a real six-pointer because they want to build their way up and they want to be the best mid-table team that there is, and then playing the better teams because they want to impress the better teams. Maybe they'll get picked up by them, or because they want to get an impressive 3 points against the Milans, the Romas, the
That's what
Lazios,
it
the
is, man.
Fiorentinas,
They play
and all that.
well.
They play Sampdoria, they don't give a
Yeah,
fuck, bro.
that's the
Like, what's a
thing.
win against Sampdoria? Like, little, like, obviously they're fully aware that 3 points are 3 points, but what's going to motivate them to go into a match against Sampdoria? You know what I mean? When they could be preparing for a match against some of the biggest teams in Italy or the six-pointers in the league.
Sure, that's a fair point, man. I think that's it. I have dubbed them as Robin Hood, my most successful tweet ever. Um, but it's true. They play well against the better teams because they know they have the stage. They have the scouts. They have Juve watching. They have Milan watching. They have Napoli watching.
And they're a young team as well. Like Frattesi obviously doesn't want to
Yeah,
spend his career at Sassuolo.
exactly.
Raspadori wants to go to Inter desperately.
Yeah,
Scamacca will leave this
for
summer. Like, you
sure,
know
for
what I
sure.
mean? So there's no loyalty within the team. I think there's obviously an argument for Ferrari, Consigli, and Berardi, for example. But otherwise, none of these players have a career at Sassuolo. So do they really give a shit is the question.
Definitely, that's the problem. Now, table very quickly,
Sure.
and by very quickly I mean extremely slowly.
Don't worry, I'll keep the
Don't
guys
worry, don't worry.
entertained.
Here we are. Sampdoria. By coughing, bro, you're gonna keep them mental. Man, you have COVID, by the way. You tested.
Well, I tested 2 days ago, but obviously I knew I was gonna test negative because I didn't give it those 3 days to come out, but I just wanted to put everyone's mind at ease at work that I didn't fucking give them
Yeah.
COVID. But I'm gonna test again tomorrow. I would bet solid money that I have COVID, bro. Like I was freezing last night,
That
man. I
was
was
my first night
shivering
with
and
it.
sweating. Like
Sarah kept
I
waking
don't
up to
feel
me
terrible.
going.
I don't feel terrible, but I never do when I'm sick. You know what I mean? Like even when I got vaxxed and boosted and everything, I never felt incredibly ill. I'm feeling like I got boosted. You know
Oh
what I
no.
mean? So I wouldn't be surprised, man. But I'll find out tomorrow. It would be interesting to let you guys know next week and
Yeah,
stuff.
we'll see. Um, I have muscle aches today. It's really bad. But anyway,
Yes.
Sampdoria currently 16th with 23 points, while Sassuolo are 12th with 29 points.
There you go. So the next game is another mid-table battle, really, between Udinese and Torino, where Udinese came out victorious 2 goals to nil. Now, remember in one of the previous episodes, I pointed out that there was one fixture that was won by both sides each season.
Was that this one?
This was it. This was it. And it happened again. The reverse fixture was a 2-1 Torino win, and this time Udinese won 2 goals to nil. And I had made a joke saying, I'll definitely get it right in the prediction series next time round. I got it fucking wrong. Like, I said Torino will win again. But whatever. Udinese coming off a 0-0 draw to Genoa, whilst Torino are also coming off a draw to Sassuolo. Arguably, they deserve to get away with a victory there. Udinese have only won one of their last 6 matches at home to Torino, whilst Torino have gone unbeaten in 10 of their last 12 against
A week
Udinese.
of upsets.
Yep, literally, man. So the play-by-play, not a very exciting match until the 92nd minute, bro. This game was dead until the 92nd minute.
Yeah.
Mandragora received the second yellow card of the match and was sent off. I must say that was incredibly soft. So a player went up for a header and Mandragora made slight contact with the player's legs. Player went over. It was his second yellow and he was off. I didn't exactly agree with that. From a free kick, a few moments later, literally a few seconds later, Nahuel Molina scored a wonderful free kick, man. Just a curler. That this free kick was shaped up definitely for a near post cross, but he went for the near post strike. He beat. There was absolutely nothing Vanja Milinkovic-Savic could have done about it. One of the best free kicks we've seen this season, and Udinese definitely have a couple of people that can hit them. In the 96th minute, and then one of Udinese's players hoofed the ball upfield, hoping for a whistle. But what he got instead was Vanya trying to catch the ball and failing
My
miserably
God.
and taking down Pussetto once he took the ball off him. It was hilarious.
Can I say how this goal directly affected me?
Yes,
So
yes, go
on
for it.
both my fantasy football, I take part in 2 leagues. I was against
Through
someone
this.
who was a man down in each situation. And the way fantasy football works, if a player plays under 15 minutes, he doesn't get a vote. Now Molina came on in the 81st minute, so he was not going to get them a rating. But they were on the bench for both my opponents. He was on the bench for both my opponents, sorry. And he scored this free kick and put it up. He put his rating to a 10. So fucking me instantly. And I had Vanja Milinkovic-Savic in goal, who went from an 8 in 2 minutes down to a 2. So I lost on both my fantasy football games. Fantastic.
It was like it from Vanya's point of view as well, just inexperienced goalkeeping over there. I mean, the way he tried to handle that ball and obviously he lost it, and then the way he took the player out, just grabbing his
So
leg from
comical, man.
behind was and I mean the player took the shot on, it was cleared off the line as well, so it would more likely than not wouldn't have led to a goal. But fuck it, man. That's exactly what happened. Pussetto converted from the spot, and it was 2-0 with the first goal coming in the 93rd minute, man. So, talking points. Very disappointing loss for Torino, particularly with the form they've been on. They've looked really convincing recently. Do you think the fact that Juric was in the stands had an impact on this?
Probably it always does psychologically. They don't have anyone breathing down their neck, So I would say yes, probably.
And what do you think about the red card? Do you think that would have made a difference? It was in the 92nd minute.
No. The game should have been won or lost before that. Actually, wait a second. It was in the 92nd minute. The free kick was a result of that red card, right?
I believe
So
so. I
yes,
believe so because
definitely.
I think so.
It was probably the
It
turning
was,
point for them.
I'm not sure because I thought the foul happened further up the field, but
Mm.
according to this, it said foul in the 92nd, red card, and then the free kick in the 93rd. So that would probably be as a result of that. Normally it takes a minute to get a guy sent off
Yeah,
and score a free kick. It wouldn't take any longer.
sure.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Juric has criticized Torino's ability to stay focused in a game, and this is literally another reason where they've fucking proved them right.
Literally, man. Literally, I think that's it would be the case, man. Like I play like 1 hour long 5-a-sides and I lose concentration. And I always I never take it into account when thinking of footballers. Like they would have just not been thinking at that point. You know what I mean? Because I'd be rest assured that they have 90 minutes fully focused on the game.
Yeah.
But footballers are human and they
Of
do
course,
tend to
they
have
switch
lapses of
off. They
concentration,
switch
man.
off, of course, and not only do they switch off, they panic as well. Like the again back to the derby, the Milan Inter game. The goals came in quick succession. they were probably still shocked
Like I
from
said,
the
it was like the
equalizer.
Liverpool
Yeah,
game, man.
exactly. So it's all about momentum. It's all about reacting. Now there's a statistic that shows the time when you're most likely to score a goal is right after another goal was scored, be it by your team or
Exactly.
be it by the opposing team.
Exactly. Hormones and endorphins all over
Yeah.
the place. Like
Yes.
now, Udinese, a good thing about them is that they can really tire a team
Yeah.
out, man. They're a tough team to play. Like they get physical, they get dirty, they pass the ball around. They will tire teams out. They go till the very last second, and we've seen it time and time again this season. And to be honest, Udinese Torino would be a very physical game, and I think Udinese firmly got the upper hand in this one.
For sure. For sure. We should probably pick up the pace with the last two because we're 2 hours in.
Oh, but speaking of pace, it's better only pace. Boom.
It's
And then
better.
we can move
It's
on.
better only pace. He missed a few chances, didn't he? I've seen him
Yep,
recently. I'm
he
not
gets
sure it
away
was
well.
this game, but he tends to miss the one-on-ones against Savage this time. I believe he missed a few.
Yeah, he
Is he
did.
only pace? No, no, no.
His strength as well,
He's
to answer
exactly
the question.
strength and pace. No, he holds up the play well. He's got a good shot on him. He's 24 years old. No, I think that killer instinct will come to him. He needs more time. He exploded at Udinese. He's not ready for a
Of
big move
course,
yet. He
man.
needs to chill at Udinese and do a bit better. Just every year
Of
improving a
course, man.
little bit.
100%. So to give you an update on the standings, so Udinese are currently in 14th place on 27 points, whilst Torino are in 32nd place with a game in hand and 1 point behind Verona. So they could potentially move up the rankings a little bit, but they do need to start getting some wins here.
Now, the next game took place between Bologna and Empoli, which also ended 0-0. How boring, Serie A. So, Bologna's attack falls flatter than Mihailovic's hat. An
Good
abnormal
one.
0-0 is what Andrea Azzoli chose to describe this game as, and he's absolutely right. It was an action-packed 0-0. Don't let the scoreline take away from the game. It was extremely entertaining. Coming into this match, Empoli had won 5 of their last 8 Serie A meetings with Bologna, losing just 1 in the process. 1 second, because I'm going to start coughing. Okay. Now, play by play. In the first half, Arnautovic smacked the crossbar with a long-ranged dipping thunderbolt. And in the second half, Di Francesco hit the post with a curling effort from just outside the area. I've decided instead of goals, I'm going to put posts in there. Now, Bologna had 60% ball possession. Bologna had 12 shots to Empoli's 15. Empoli seemed to get closer to scoring, in my opinion. They had many chances and they did pretty well. 15 crosses by Bologna this game, many of them wasteful. Mihailovic preferred Vignato to Dykes as his wingback, and he made the observation that due to Vignato's lack of intensity, he's not used to being played in a position where he has to contribute defensively and offensively. Typically,
Okay.
he's given a lot of offensive freedom. He doesn't need to track back as much. He said that it affected
Fair enough.
his decision making and his final touch in the final third, which was fair enough. I kind of thought the same thing as well. Mihailovic said that they are not yet at 100%, and they could have.
Oh, he's been saying that
He's
though,
been
hasn't
he's
he,
been
man,
for
for
a
a
while.
while
I think
now.
the
He's
last
been
three
saying
games
that.
for sure.
Ugh.
Making excuses. He says we could have lost it. Empoli away from home is deadly. He also praised Cassius for his performance, the 19-year-old, saying that he just arrived, but he has courage. About Orsolini, it is right for a player to get angry when he comes out because he looked frustrated coming out. Arnautovic's best game, according to Mihailovic. Do you agree?
No, absolutely not. No, man. Like, what's a striker there for us to score
Oh,
goals,
he was
man?
good though. I feel like the team didn't play up to him.
Yeah, I mean that's more often than not it's happened this
Yeah.
season with Bologna. I think Arnautovic is kind of like a step above. We could see him at a better team, at maybe a more ambitious team, but definitely not his best game. And I mean, how do you rate a striker by his goals? And it's not like he's a conservative striker that should play the ball around. He's there to beat his opponent
Yeah.
and score
Yeah.
goals. So I don't think. I think it's rich, and I think, to be honest, it's a bit pretentious to call this his favorite
I
game or
think
his
he's
best game.
just defending his striker who's in a bit of a drought right now. That's it.
Potentially, potentially.
Andrea Azzoli said that his men should be proud to have gone to Bologna's stadium and create 30 attacks. He believes that Bologna can too be satisfied with this point achieved. Here is the newly promoted team taking shots at Bologna, saying they should be satisfied with a draw against them. That's cool to see.
It's fucking brilliant, man. Andrea Azzoli knows exactly what he's saying and doing over there. And Empoli took a nice little jump up again, so they're now past Sassuolo.
Of
They
course.
were previously in 12th and now they're up to 11th, which is nice to see. I missed them in the top 10, man.
They're good, man. I have to say, they're fun to watch. Zurkowski played really
Very
well
fun.
as well. He missed a fucking sitter at the point, man.
Henderson played well as
Yeah.
always, man. I really like Henderson. Like I don't see him as being a consistent starter for them because he can be a bit moody.
Mhm.
But when he's on, man. I really enjoyed watching him this
Yeah,
game.
me too. Has to be said as well, Aslani is the 19-year-old who came in to fill in the big boots of Ricci, and boy, did he do a good job. Andrea Azzoli did say that it's no coincidence that every time this guy plays, he plays well. He's a very good player as well. So it goes to show they have quite a pool of talent in this team.
For sure, man. He even managed to get a shot away. He had two dribbles completed, 74% pass success rate. Decent performance by Aslani, and he even got a yellow card. So
Yeah.
nice way to make his mark.
So I do recommend watching the highlights of this game. It was very interesting. A lot of chances, particularly Pinamonti or Solini had an attempt. Soriano had an attempt as well. There were quite a few good chances created. I'm gonna quickly conclude this one, bro. Bologna
Mhm.
are in 13th with 28 points, while Empoli have climbed to 11th with 30 points.
Fantastic. So the next and last game we're going to be covering doesn't exactly sound entertaining, but it was entertaining. It's Salernitana against Spezia that ended 2-2. So Spezia are on a three-match winning streak and have Serie A as manager of the month. Spezia have won each of their last four encounters against Salernitana in both Serie A and Serie B. And Spezia also had the chance to beat the same team in the Serie A in the same Serie A season twice for the first time in their history, but failed because they're fucking losers. Salernitana, however, won six of their last eight Serie B matches against Spezia, but they failed to beat them this time yet round and this year in general because they're also fucking losers. Now, for the play-by-play, in the third minute, Verdi scored a lovely free kick with his first attempt for Salernitana. He was discarded by Torino in Serie A and Fenku's Angels in Fanta Grima. Good to see him turning things around. In the 12th minute, Manai scored from the spot after a penalty was awarded to Spezia, and moments later in the 16th minute, Verdi scored another insane free kick, and it's hilarious if you haven't seen this. Go watch it because his teammates freak out,
Yeah.
man.
When he scores the second free kick, man, Jesus Christ,
The scenes are
the
hilarious,
players are
man.
all like grabbing their heads. They can't believe it.
It's like Ronaldinho's reaction to Pirlo's goal against
Yeah.
Real when he does the whole slapping his hand thing.
Yeah.
In the 30th minute, Verde, not Verdi, Verde for Spezia scored from the spot. So there wasn't a single goal from open play in this match, which to be honest sums both teams up pretty well. Late on in the match, it looked like Amian handled the ball in the box, but the referee waved play on. That was a very,
Mhm.
very close one. We could have easily been seen that given as a penalty, and we could have seen a victory for Salernitana over there, but that's probably me just hating Spezia. Now, Verdi alone was as impactful as Zakaria and Vlahovic together. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, output wise, you're absolutely right, my friend. They have a new striker, no? Salernitana. They have a new team, of course. Muset.
They have
He
a couple
wasn't.
new
He
players.
wasn't
Obviously,
great.
the Diego Costa deal
It
didn't go
didn't go
through,
through. I'm
man.
so upset.
That's so disappointing,
There
man.
would have been Diego
Super
Costa,
disappointing.
Ribery, Verdi.
Oh my god.
They brought in
What kind
Sepe,
of like
who has benched Belic, by the way, which I think is harsh. He's been really good, Belic.
I've I thought that Belic has been the only high point for Salernitana for this entire season. I think he's had some good games. I don't know, maybe bringing someone that's eager to play again in Serie A and just testing him out a couple of times when you're last. It's you could try this shit out. But Sepe's a good keeper. I don't mind Sepe. I just think Belic doesn't deserve to be
Yeah,
benched more than
yeah,
anything, man.
same. It was interesting to see in the 65th minute they brought on Perotti. Salernitana, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 68th minute, Spezia brought on Agudelo, and it was like the battle of the jollies, the battle of the wild cards. Perotti was trying to
Mm-hmm.
create on one side, Agudelo was trying to create on the other. And I must say, Agudelo is on form right now. He's a demon.
Agudelo, since the Milan
Yeah.
game, I feel
He's
he's
been
been on,
launched.
man.
23 years old. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we might see
Not
better
bad.
from him.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I think both teams have somewhat improved. I think Spezia obviously coming off a three-match winning streak, and now they have a draw. That's 4 matches unbeaten for Spezia.
Mm.
Quite good for them. They have a bit of leeway. They're 8 points from safety with a game in hand, so I would say pretty fucking safe. They're safer than Sampdoria. Salernitana are last 3 points behind Genoa, but have a game in hand. But they have improved slightly since they've brought on Verdi and they changed things around a little bit and got Colantuono on board. But they're going to need a massive improvement, man, to get out of that relegation zone. And to be honest, I think they'll remain dead last.
They're the weakest link for sure. They have a new team. It would take a miracle, and it would really be an amazing story. That if Salernitana survive, I'm writing an article.
Oh, we could get our guy
And
to
we can
write an
get our boy.
article.
It's true.
He's
He is
insane,
good.
guys. Please check it out.
Yeah.
The untold story of Venezia. It's
It is
brilliant.
great. It is great. Okay, bro. Shall we jump to the
Very
questions?
quick.
We have exactly 3 minutes until the Milan game starts.
Oh my god, yes, alright, so let's fucking go.
I got a quest. I got a quest.
So welcome back to our question segment. To drop a question, you can find us on Twitter or Instagram at Serie A Spotlight. Let's get down to it. The first question comes from our boy Beppe Darmanin, who asks, Milan wins a derby without their starting centre-backs. Once again, Maldini and co made the right call when they decided not to sign a defender during the January transfer window. What do you think, brother?
I still don't think it's the right call. I think Milan got away with it. I think maybe it says more about what Milan do on the training pitch rather than, you know what I mean, rather than the personnel needed to fill in the roles. But I definitely think that this was a match where perhaps Milan would have gotten away with it. But, longevity wise, maybe we'll see in 2-3 games, we'll see the same two players slipping up. So I still think that Milan needs some reinforcements within those areas. I still don't think that those two look as stable as I would like together. But like I said, man, Milan had a good enough performance to get away with it this time round. I think they had a good enough performance to get away with it. But I would still like to see a Botman or an Eric Bali coming in on board.
I think what they did was smart. They knew that they couldn't get a caliber center back of the caliber of like Botman or Bremer right
Mm,
now. So what
mm.
do? They just stuck with their guns, and they'll splash big in the next window, in the summer window.
In
Yeah,
that case, I agree.
I think they
Yes.
got it right. The next question comes from our boy Luke Mintoff, who asks, who would you consider is the most underrated signing in January?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a very good question.
Um,
Most underrated signing.
I mean,
Perhaps, potentially.
Conte went under the radar. Conte went under the radar. Just an
Yeah,
injury-prone right back, leaving Milan to Sampdoria. I think he'll definitely do bits over there.
sure, and the price was pretty good for them too, so that could be a good shout. Also, bro, perhaps Boga. No one talks about the Boga signing.
That's true. That's true. He's
Boga
a
could be
top-tier signing.
he
Like,
could be a killer for them. Also potentially Lazetic, for Milan, the striker.
I was gonna say Lazetic. I just didn't want to play the Milan card.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
he's again under the radar. Everyone's like, "Oh, Milan signed no one. Milan signed no one." Actually, you're wrong. Milan signed Lazetic, bro. Okay, and that's an
Fucking right.
interesting one. So we'll see.
Goddamn
We'll see
right.
how
I
he
did.
performs. I feel like he'll have to play at some point this season. With Zlatan's injury record and Giroud, playing twice a week, Lazetic will have to play. Definitely.
Definitely. And Pioli is definitely the kind of manager to plug these people in.
Yeah, exactly. The next question comes from Andrew Sant Fournier, our boy Santi. He asks, we've already discussed this briefly. Could Salernitana beat the drop after this Galactico front line they have built? Also, looks like Spezia are going to be safe. I don't know. Has a team ever been relegated with 26 points?
Well, Salernitana are going down,
Yeah.
and Spezia will more than likely stay up. That's my answer. I mean, I think the way the league is shaping up now gives us a great indication of what's going to happen, till the end of the season. I think it'll take a lot for Salernitana, not because they're Salernitana, because they are getting better, but the fact that Genoa and Cagliari got so much better, that's going to make it even tougher for Salernitana. And
For
I think for
sure.
that reason, they face the drop.
They're not the only team that has improved, unfortunately. So yes, I tend to agree that Salernitana will also go down. Now, bro, I believe you have two questions.
Yep, so the first question is from my boy Garl Cut on Instagram. He asks, will Morata adapt well to his new role, or will he be phased out after Vlavic's arrival? We kind of did go over this a little bit, but what do you think, bro?
He certainly won't be phased out. I think Allegri likes him, and to be honest, he has a new lease of life on the way. He's playing better.
Yep, I think there's a bit of a, we're seeing more of a work rate from him on the wing. Well, at least we're seeing it come out more. He gets to show off his strength a little bit more. His passing, his finishing isn't his strong point. So I think, I think Morata's a new look player on the left hand side. The next question comes from Jamie Dent. Very good question over here. So he said, recently Rooney came out and said how he started drinking plenty of alcohol at around 30 years old onwards to cope with the pressure from football and media. This damaged his performance. Have there been any similar cases in Serie A? If not, you can look back on any players who you think may have had similar issues.
So, of course, Adriano, when his father died, had problems with alcoholism, and it kind of ruined his career as well. He gained a lot of weight, and eventually he was forced out of the Inter team due to, a bad mentality, bad physical health. So that kind of ruined him too. Maradona is one of the players that seemed totally unfazed by it. He is said to have, well, he said himself actually that he used to drink a bottle of whiskey every night. Now, a bottle of whiskey every night is a mental,
Isn't a habit,
no,
you
no,
know what I
it's
mean?
it's
It's an
fucked.
addiction.
It's fucked. I don't know how he would go to training the next day. Like a bottle of whiskey in the evening, and you go and run the next day. Are you mental? Like how the hell?
Bear in mind, he was on that coke as well,
Of course. Yes,
Maradona.
yes, yes.
So that was probably his coping mechanisms in the morning.
Life
Like,
is life.
la la la. It's
It's
been
like
fucked up.
dancing in the
Um,
mirror.
my main one that I wanted to mention was Adriano. I think Adriano is the most disappointing when it comes to the ceiling that he had and just the caliber of a footballer that he was, and just the dreadful drop that's happened in his career. Obviously, he had a very close relationship to his father, and once his father passed away, he fell into a deep, deep, deep depression. It was actually Zanetti who came out and said that his biggest defeat in his career was not being able to help Adriano out of that depression.
Yeah.
So Adriano turned to alcohol rather.
It turned into a gin and tonic.
He'd show up to training
I have,
drunk,
yeah.
and cameras would pick him up wobbling all over the place, and Inter's manager would come out and say that he was injured, so he'd have a problem in his meniscus or something of the sort. And after that, he had spells in Brazil, he had loan spells in Italy as well, and his career just fell out. And I saw images of him recently. Apparently, he's still not in a great place. He's hanging out with the wrong crowd, drinking alcohol, doing drugs. So I certainly hope that this wasn't accurate, and that he's found some peace of mind now.
I have another one. Cherby, bro.
Acerbi,
When
really?
Acerbi was with Milan, he had
Hmm.
kind of an existential crisis. He was like nothing
Okay.
seemed to stimulate him whatsoever, and he couldn't get going. He had lost like his way. And then now this is what he had turned to alcohol as well. Like he was drinking a lot. He said, "I drank everything." That's what he said.
Jesus.
Then he got cancer in his balls, and
Uh-huh.
and he said that
Bro,
it's
can you please say testicular cancer?
he got cancer in his balls, man. He got
He
cancer in
got
his balls,
testicular
and
cancer.
it's the same thing. He got cancer in his liver. He got liver cancer.
Okay, go on, go on.
He said cancer saved me. He said cancer saved me.
That's
And
nothing I've ever heard
yeah,
before.
and he went to Sassuolo and kind of, he beat it finally. He said, "There's something I can beat over here." He quit drinking and he made quite a career for himself as well. He said he always wanted to be called up by the national team, and he was. He was. He played for. He's played for Italy. So big success. Well done, Acerbi.
He's a gem. Hopefully things will look better for him at Lazio soon.
Yes. So that's everything on my end. And yours?
Yep, everything from my end as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have no idea how long this one is, but I can assure you it's fucking long.
It's too long.
Way too long. But tune in. I'm sure you guys will have a blast listening to it and keeping up to date, particularly before this weekend's fixtures. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Play, YouTube. We're everywhere.
Our website,
our new
say
website.
spotlight.com.
And honestly, guys, read that Venezia article. It's actually nuts. You learn a thing or two. Like, did you know that their stadium is small because of tornado? So tune in and have a look.